Imagine shifting your business to a cloud go-to-market strategy like navigating a field of unicorn excrement. The field might sound magical, but step on the wrong spot and it's messy. Your traditional quote-to-cash process likely disrupted. You don't get a PO, your payment terms go out the window, and you're dancing around piles of unicorn poop, relying on the cloud provider for accurate and on-time payments. It's like unknowingly stepping onto a pile of Legos. It hurts, right? That's the pain of automation disruption. New APIs to integrate, new automation workflows to design. You thought you were stepping onto a fluffy cloud, but nope, it could be a Lego brick if you're not prepared. Now, imagine navigating an obstacle course, all the while being pelted with balls. That's what your ops team feels like trying to build new reports for co-sell and marketplace tracking. All of this while trying to manage the new changes to your CRM and quote tools. I mean, who doesn't love a good dodgeball session? You might need to consider the first few deals as a hiker, making their way up a steep mountain path for the first time. There will be slips and missteps, but hey, that's the journey of change management for you. As for resource management, it's like trying to cross a tightrope over a pool. You're used to the solid ground with on-prem deployments, but shifting to the cloud, it's a balancing act, planning for usage increases and additional services. One misstep and splash, you're all wet. And then there's vendor management. You'll need to dedicate folks for this. Think of it like babysitting a bunch of unruly kids. It's all fun and games until someone breaks a vase. Let's not forget customer support. It's going to change. Imagine if your marketplace customers were cats. Now try hurting them. You need to understand how to support these cats or customers, including working with those cloud support teams. Oh, and if you weren't planning for it, beware of the cloud lock-in monster. Always lurking, ready to make you dependent on one cloud, just a little too much. Be the hero of your own story. Don't get locked in, unless you're planning to. Last but not least, your pricing model. It's like a Rubik's Cube that keeps changing. You may need to develop new SKUs or products specifically for co-sell and marketplace. So keep twisting, turning, and adjusting. Trial and error, my friends. It's all part of the game. All right, so I told you what to look for, but now here's some insider tips on how to prepare for these. So I'm going to break it down into a couple segments. First, the quote-to-cash disruption and automation disruption. Establish clear and consistent payment processes that work for both you and your customers in the cloud environment. So you'll likely need some alternative to the PO. So first, see if you can get away without one, but finance probably won't budge on that, at least not very easily. So in that case, use a virtual PO or a bookable artifact, such as the receipt that Tackle provides, or if you can find another integration with a receipt, go ahead and use that. You may also need to create separate accounts for your customers. So think about them as like cloud accounts. You're going to have to add extended payment terms to those so that if you've got credit lines with your customers, those aren't impacted, because each cloud's going to pay you at a slightly different rate depending on when they book within the month and how the customer's set up. So there's a lot to consider, and they're not going to fit in your standard 30, 60-day windows. These separate accounts can also help you bypass certain automations that you may have in place already. And you're going to have to adjust those. And more importantly, you're probably going to have to separate them for reporting, for support, and so forth. The second point on that is to ensure you have a robust integration with your APIs and your automation workflows. So here, you want to ensure that you can integrate your payment or your processor software, the cloud APIs, and any other third parties you've got into your existing systems. So you want to start this process as early as possible, because for many of you, it's going to take a lot of time. IT roadmaps, release schedules, etc., are going to dictate your timeline here. The last point on the quote-to-cash piece is to conduct full testing before you go live on any of those automation changes. It goes without saying you should test before you launch, but as a reminder, these changes have far-reaching implications and need to be tested for functionality and downstream reporting. So make sure you spend the time to conduct a thorough test there. The second piece is build out new reports for change management. So whenever possible, take advantage of the cloud services that offer built-in reporting features, but also understand that these are complex most often. So with many of our friends publishing these reports over dailies, weeklies, and even monthlies, you'll need to comb through all these. And, it's worth considering adopting a third party to consolidate this reporting, especially on a multi-cloud strategy, and help amplify what you're doing today. Make it easy as possible for your operations team. It's going to make things go a lot smoother, and your reporting is definitely something that's extreme significance and importance. So spend time there. The second point on this is to train your staff effectively to manage this new CRM as well as any quote changes. So you're going to add fields to your CRM, probably likelihood to buy in the cloud, what cloud they're on. Maybe it's many, what cloud they prefer to purchase on, who are the cloud AEs, did you do a marketplace transaction? All these new pieces of information need added to the tools, and the operations team needs to know how to use this data. So best practice, find a champion on the ops team and have them help you lead the knowledge share. Do train the trainers, make them your champion from an ops perspective. These new fields, along with the new reports and the cloud portals, are a lot to get used to, and it's going to take some time. So spend time there because it's very important to your staff. The last point on this is to communicate and implement that change management strategy, including feedback loops. So continuous improvement, right? We need feedback loops. This seems obvious, but you need to continuously evolve this. And in the beginning, you're going to learn a lot. So don't be rigid. Make sure you set up a feedback loop of impacted users and then get their commentary regularly. Don't wait to the end of the year. Make sure this is done on a semi-regular, maybe it's a quarterly basis. Next point is resource management. So this isn't going to affect a ton of you, but if you're shifting to on cloud, make sure you regularly monitor your resource management and your usage, adjust those services accordingly, especially if you're building and then selling on your own tenant. So as such, you should anticipate scaling these, anticipate that you're choosing the right cloud provider who's going to best help you handle and scale that as possible. So resource management, not going to impact a lot of you, but if you're built on the cloud and you're selling through your tenant only, then that's something to consider. Now, vendor management and customer support. You need to appoint dedicated teams here to manage the relationships and the issues. So most of the time, this is your alliances team. They're most likely going to have a lot on their plate, however, so you should probably try to think about a cloud-only option. And so in this do more with less valley that we're in today, I get they're probably the only option you have, but try to limit the non-cloud responsibilities of this person or these people. They've got a ton to learn with the clouds, a lot to keep track of, and certainly a lot to coordinate. Next, I want you to think about developing a comprehensive customer support strategy because the necessary training for your customer support team and understanding all those changes are going to be quite considerable, and it's going to take a lot of effort. So they're going to have to know how to respond to customers who are buying through the marketplace, what commonalities occur. They're going to have to coach them through it. And all this requires building enablement. So you're going to need some help building enablement there. Hire some external support if you need it, but make sure they're kind of experts in that space. The last point on vendor management and customer support is strong communication channels. So make sure that your support team and the cloud support teams have some kind of link. They're going to need to know how to raise support with one another, what the SLAs are, because they're each going to be different, and then whether it's product or marketplace related. Mind you, every customer is going to have a different SLA or a different level of significance with the cloud. Whether it's you or the end user, your agreements and your support agreements are likely different. So this is going to take some time to kind of map out. So you need to be very conservative with your SLAs and make sure there's excellent communication between the two. Fifth one, this is for mainly, I think, the startups, but it could play into the commercial enterprise space. It's cloud lock-in, right? So it's not a bad idea if that's part of your strategy, but if it's not part of your strategy, think about diversifying it. Think about multiple providers where possible if this is part of your go-to-market. If you're aligning to one, like I mentioned, a lot of our startups are doing, then that's fine. That's totally fine. Spend time understanding the economics there. Build your better together story. Be able to negotiate effectively through consumption reporting, PRACAR, and other reports. Make sure you build that into your process so that as you negotiate or renegotiate your commits over time, you're getting the best deals possible. Alternatively, you could build in like a flexible model and a portable model in your strategy so that when you switch providers, if you switch providers or you start adapting a multi-cloud approach, it's much easier. So just two things to consider there. And then on the pricing model, last but not least, I've got 2 points. First, Regularly review and adjust your pricing model to ensure it's competitive and it's profitable. You may have cloud-specific pricing models like pay-as-you-go, tiered pricing, etc. Where suitable, these should be priced accordingly. So if you're only doing private offers as an example, you want to set the public price high, right? We don't want to get a bunch of public offers if we're only doing private. So set the price high so you don't get a lot of folks buying. Whereas public listings, and you're taking full advantage of the marketplace, need to be competitive and priced accordingly. So take advantage of that free trial processes here, especially because we're finding a lot of success with ISVs leveraging that as well. So if you can do it, make sure you stay competitive and leverage that free trial. All told, second point here, you should develop new SKUs or products specifically for co-selling or marketplace while ensuring they align with your strategy if you aren't already built that way. Try not to overcomplicate things here, but you should try to simplify it not only for the customers, but internally. All your processes that we've been talking about are affected. So if you can simplify that into SKUs or products that are specific to marketplace or specific to co-sell, that'll align from your sellers through the cloud and to the end users. Well, we certainly covered a lot in this first video edition of the Cloud Go-to-Market Insider, but I wanted to give you a little more on this Father's Day and Juneteenth weekend than I had on the blog post, so hopefully you found this helpful. The blog post will go up after this video for Mission 002, where I cover where do you fit. So we talk about discussing the beginning of your cloud go-to-market journey. Next week, we get more detailed, so stay tuned. We're going to get more detailed in covering your ideal cloud go-to-market team. So who are they? What are the things that they should be doing? What should the alliances persona be working on for the clouds? So we're going to dive into that and talk some specifics. So stay tuned again each week for more information on how to navigate the obstacle course through the clouds. Subscribe to the newsletter, and as always, please provide feedback. It's been very helpful. This is why we have the video today. So continue with that feedback, continue sending me notes, and I appreciate all of your time and attention. Happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there.